So, hello everyone. My name is and I'm working in a startup which is WFS Technology Private Limited, and they have built an application for employee management system, and they have their chatbot there, and for meetings we analyze meetings. So my part is to build that chatbot, to maintain that chatbot, and to analyze textual data for having like summary, action points, and these kind of things. And I have graduated this year only 2025 from IT University, and I write blogs as well on towards data science. Yeah. So that's it. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Nived. I started as an intern here at Aftershoot like around 2021, so very early. I have worked on so we basically have these three products: culling, editing and retouching. So right now I am working on the retouching part. So basically it involves building lightweight generative models to do face enhancement stuff in painting basically. And yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Vinny. So I've been here since 2023, and like Nived, I used to work in retouching, but now I have taken some MLOps role, and one of the biggest challenge in developing a AI model is having a good data. So basically currently we are working on a tool which we can use to get data with minimal intervention from a programmer. Basically automating the boring stuff which a programmer has to do, so that even a non-coder can get that data and use that to create what is needed to train a model.
Perfect.
That's all.
Alright. I'm Sudhanshu. Sorry, you were saying something.
Good.
Okay, you can continue after you.
Okay. Please, no, you should say. I'm sorry, I completely missed that.
Okay. So, my name is Akshit, and I'm currently working at Verbaflow. It's a very early level conversational AI startup. We operate across 4 modalities, basically WhatsApp, call, email, and website widgets. And my role there is that of a generalist. So, I am the bridge between the AI team and all the other functions. I'm the face of the AI team in front of the clients, and I take care of the AI operations as well. I allocate tasks and the day-to-day work, the non-research work. I take care of that.
I'm Sudhanshu. I work for a company called Opki, and our job is primarily to automate ERP platforms like Oracle, Workday, SAP. I'm the product lead there. I lead a team of 11 people, and my job there is primarily to develop a domain-specific small language model, which is fine-tuned, tailored for ERP platforms. So yeah, we have.
Sorry, what is the company name?
Opki, OPKEY.
It's an established company?
Series B.
Oh, it's a startup.
Bangalore.
Going
Yes,
ahead in there, okay.
exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
So it's been there for around 12 years now. I joined around a year and a half back.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
I'm Jaydev. I work here at Aftershoot at one of my feet is in the ML team, the other is in the MLOps team, and so on. I work at the intersection of what happens after you've trained the model and how they end up in the app, essentially. I'm about 9 months old in Aftershoot, before which I was on sabbatical for 3 months, which Aftershoot cut short. And before that, I've spent 6 years at Grammar, one of which was Stripe.
Hi guys, I'm Amar. Basically, I've worked at Spine for 3 years kind of right now, and I was fortunate enough to kind of be a part of the team that kind of built the starting product of Spine, and now they're kind of growing into a lot of different things. And I started in computer vision back in college in COVID. Basically, I didn't have to do a lot of college stuff, so I could only focus on computer vision. And I was going through these courses with Andrew Yang, and basically the 4th course comes with computer vision, I never got to the Rift course. I just stuck with the. I
Was the
like,
TensorFlow course?
it's like deep learning specialization kind of.
The deep learning got AI specialization.
Yes. I never.
Most of the courses are available there.
Yeah. I never got to the like the LLM side, so it's like the basics for RNN and SGM side. I never got to them. As I've been like applying this to like games. I couldn't like I didn't have a car, so I would like go to NFS and I would basically try lane detection and all those kinds of projects. So that's where I started.
Okay, hi, my name is Kuldeep. I work at SHL. It's a HR tech software company, primarily run from London, but we have pretty big presence in India and abroad. Most of the AI is built here, so from here. So prior to this, I was at Xerox Research as a research scientist, and then did my own startup.
Thank you so much. And yeah, a couple of you already know me. My name is Anuj. I am formally trained in theoretical computer science, largely working on lower bounds and possibility proofs. A friend introduced me to a bunch of theorems in machine learning back in 2009 when life was much more peaceful in AI. Since then, largely doing in AI. I've worked across companies, both very early stage startups as well as some of the largest organizations, set up 100 people teams kind of chatter. Authored a major book in AI, giving a point of view of how do you do AI, being a part of startups and product teams as opposed to actually research lab. Couple of them were collaborators. Karthik was one of them. Karthik's current founder, Harshit, and I co-authored the book along with a couple of other folks. Presently, I work as a fractional head of AI with a bunch of organizations. Last year, led efforts for a YC company, built an AI system, demoed to Sam Altman, Khosla, secured Series B for them. That's a quick and dirty of me. So,
I'm Sarabjot. At heart, I'm an academic. So for 20 years or so in the UK, I was an academic. Moved back to India in 2012 and set up my own business called Tatras Data. We develop AI solutions for startups in the US, including some that have spun out of Andrew Ng's AI fund. So we build their AI and their software for them. We also have a foundation called Civil Foundation that currently teaches around 700 students, engineering students mainly, AI and machine learning for free in partnership with the Software Technology Council.
So Sarabjot happens to be one of the oldest persons in India who started doing AI. I remember
thank you.
On a happier note, I remember I actually met him in 2014, where I was still looking out like what to do, where to find good work in AI and data science as it was called then. And I had met him back then almost 10 years ago. So great to see you.
But it's not nice to be ageist. Like
No, absolutely not. I think
my grace tell the story anyway.
I think old is gold. So happily there. Quickly
AI
about
before it was cool.
quickly about this particular group, right? To where the idea basically comes from. So I had a chance of starting this group back in 2015 in Bangalore. This was called Deep Learning Meetup Group. It was started by a gentleman from NVIDIA. And that became a very large community, which then went on to play a role. I don't know how many of you have heard of Fifth Elephant, Anthill. Anthill at one point of time was India's largest AI conference for practitioners, pre-COVID. COVID took its toll on that. The idea of this meetup is there's a lot of fluff. Everybody talks of a lot of big statements in AI. But the grounding is very, very different, right? And we all know AI is grounded in the truth. So the idea is to cut the fluff, build better, deeper understanding of things, right? Not go about with the hype that AI is going to replace humans and all that. It might happen, might take a couple of years and stuff like that. But build deeper, better understanding of things. So from that perspective, I have just a couple of things. One, let's follow Chatham rules. The idea is you can quote anybody, but don't quote the individual. You can always quote the discussions that have happened anywhere you go, right? We'll try and scale this community bigger and larger. And the community is always as good as the people in it. If you know good, solid people in AI, please invite them to be here. We would love to grow this bigger and better. Just for So the idea is also to record this, and Akshit has volunteered to record the entire session. We'll try and put it on YouTube as well. But that does, I hope that does not translate into why should I travel when I can get it on YouTube? Doesn't work there. So what we're gonna do is we'll only capture the main talk, but the secondary discussion where I think a lot of knowledge lies, we'll try and do here. In the interest of time, let's quickly start.
We get introduction to
Yes, please. Now that you guys have come late, we will start with your introductions. Okay, but if you- ये वो काम नहीं करती है.
introduce yourself.
We have already had a round of introductions. Just finished. So would love to know more about you. And there is a lot of space this side if you guys want to move here.
Hello, hi, good to meet you, man.
I would love to know more about
Yes,
you.
so myself is Amit Kumar Johan. So, I am a junior to Kuldeep. So I did my PhD in cryptography. But now when it comes to cyber security, we all together actually AI and crypto. So I did my master's from Delhi and then I did my PhD from IT. In post contact. Now he has moved to IT.
This guy is Tava Venkatkumar.
Yeah.
He is the batchmate of me.
Oh, I see.
How about you?
I'm Saksham. I'm actually a recent graduate from Manipal University, Jaipur. And I've recently been exploring the generative AI and LLM field.
Can all of you come this side? I think we'll give a little space to just
This one.
Okay, thank you. So चल जाएगा ना?
There's a HDMI cable hanging somewhere.
I think people use it for something. I don't know. I've seen people use it.
I don't know whether this works.
Oh,
It should work. It's
I think it should
HDMI.
work. It's a TV. There's an HDMI
This is the
cable.
ultimate test of AI. The day this starts to work, we know it.
ये और printer.
Printer का तो मुझे
Printer works with plug and play.
I don't know. किसी भी मीटिंग में अगर Zoom चल जाए टाइम से तो अच्छी लगती है.
Well, there was a very good meme that 20 PhDs could not figure out how to connect to a project.
You are a PhD, right?
I am a PhD, but I'm just taking it on me.
There's this meme, no?
So it's a very generic paper in the sense, but very influential also. And I think we would love to have a very interactive discussion on this thing because this is pretty much all of us faces today, right? I think I can guarantee you if you have made it to this room, and I'm sure some of you have a lot more experience than me. So I think you would face this issue anyway while you're building applications, and it is very specific to LLM applications, right? And it could be vision, it could be audio, but in this case, it's mostly text as an application, right? How many of you have read this paper, by the way? Who validates the validators?
Actually, I was reading the summary part yesterday when you told them this talk is going
Okay.
to be about.
So who validates the validators? That's a paper. It's a there is a lady called Shreya Shankar. She has been graduated from University of California at Berkeley and pretty much influential. She runs a very good big course now. It's widely attended on evals. Like I think she and a couple of others like Hamel and there are a couple of others people who were the first one actually outside of these big labs started talking about evals. Right, so in that way, I found a good signal when I just follow her, read her paper, and they basically tells the narratives which others people like this. Pretty much, it was not in best interest of probably OpenAI or Anthropic initially to tell the narrative, right? So, but these guys are the ones. Now they have everybody started talking about events, right? So. Let's make it interactive, very generic, right? And it's a pretty very good paper. You should read it anyway.
Yeah, and feel free to stop him anywhere, ask anything. This should be a very candid conversation. And the larger format we are trying to at least do is one technical presentation, one hard technical presentation, one discussion outside the technical aspects, and maybe one or two quick demos if any founders quickly want to showcase it. Right? So that's one of the quick formats that we are thinking of.
Awesome. Quick introduction, both of you.
Hello everyone, I am Ritesh and I have graduated from NIT Jamshedpur and currently I am working as a data science engineer at State.
And my name is Pawan Kumar and I am graduated from CBIT Hyderabad. My specialization in artificial intelligence and data science, and currently I am working as data science engineer at State.
Same company. What does the company do?
It is specializing operationalizing AI. So we take data and we convert it into stories and solve make LLM solutions to solve real world problems.
Sounds good. Thank you for making it. Hopefully this will continue. Okay, so we're discussing this paper. It's an interactive discussion, so feel free to chip in. Yeah, that's what we do. Okay, I'm sure when it's a very common, I think all of us understand, right? You put in LLM into an application and it will produce some output, and then how will you evaluate that output, right? And then a typical tantrum that is thrown is you use LLM as a judge, right? And then everybody uses LLM as a judge. So, like for example, I'm running in a hiring right now, and nearly 1,000 to 1,500 people. So we gave them an open problem statement to take our product catalog and build an application, and basically which recommends you, given a query, it can recommend you the right assessment. So basic simple thing. And we are explicitly stated, look, we are not going to look at your solution unless you write evals, and then so everybody write a LLM as a judge eval, which does nothing. Almost, right? so I think so. How do you craft a eval or LLM as a judge itself is a story that we should be thinking about, right? And because why do you? Okay, let's take a moment and say that okay, if you don't conduct evaluation, what happens? Let's just ground ourselves on that, right? So if you don't conduct evaluation for LLM outputs, what will it happen? What would happen? Like any thoughts?
Hallucinations, obviously wrong context management, like they might output.
No
What
visibility.
else? Yeah?
No visibility. Like you
No
don't have to.
visibility.
So at different time we are giving the inputs, the sequence of input can change the output differently. Sometimes it is giving the output as 8 out of 10, sometimes it is giving the output as 7 out of 10.
Sometimes variability, consistency. Anybody else?
When you change models, you don't know if it's worsened or improved.
Absolutely. So you have 5.1, 5.2 dropping in, and then you how do you evaluate, right?
Yeah.
What else? There's another very good outcome, which pretty much anybody else?
So basically, you understand where to work on, what are the deficiencies currently in the current model or system, and what are the areas to basically improve.
Yeah, because you will have multiple matrices, so you can figure out which matrices are performing well, which are not, so that you can like fine tune based on that.
And also, I think, typically, how did software used to improve in past days, right? Like, let's say you had a workflow software and then you laid it out. How did it improve? Only developers can improve it, and by adding features, right? Now, software can basically improve by itself if you have the right evaluation, right?
Yeah, sure.
Like, you could do much better job of summarizing conversational transcripts if you move from 5.1 to 5.2, and probably developer doesn't have to do much actually if you have put in the right lays, right? Theoretically, it doesn't happen anymore right now, but it should, right? So how do you build in that continuous improvement loop? You need evaluation, and strong evaluation which actually captures the application nitty-gritty, right? So of course, and when you build LLM as a judge, you are pretty much creating two set of complexity. Like LLM is inferring something, and then you are asking another LLM as a prompt, basically let's say prompt also or pipeline to do it, and you will have all these. And please forgive me, I think I would not have any control. This is an enterprise laptop. You will not have any control to even set up the screen. Of course. Anyway, so bias, sensitivity, overtrust, lack of transparency, right? So all of these things that you anyway anticipate in the usual application flow could very well happen into the judge also. And all you know, errors could just multiply themselves, and you will have sitting in on a very thin ground. So how do you do that? So this whole paper is that who validates the validators. So LLM judge is a validator, but who validates that, and how do you validate that is the basic crux. So this is a typical evaluation pipeline that you have inputs, prompts under test, whatever it could be pipeline also, doesn't matter, very simply, output, and then you put an evaluator. So how many of have you put an evaluation in your code till now? Any thoughts? Like have you put a LLM results or any other kind of evaluation? Like give me category of evaluation or
so we use heuristic based evaluation. So for example, one of the things that I work on is we need to scale up and scale down different instances based on past usage, right? So we have some trends and then we have some human annotated prompts. And we have some annotated values, and then what we do is we run all these different LLMs against those values, compare to see if they are within the framework.
Okay. So you use LLM results, but on a human rated data.
Yeah. So we first confirm that like now Gemini 3 came out, so I need to check if that it will same perform as expected, right? So we need to validate it.
And is it binary or is it a correlation?
It's a little bit of both. So some things are binary, right? If it's within a certain range. Some things are like how far off is it from the correct answer. So it's both of those things.
I will have a question later for
yeah.
I think same as well. Create a ground truth, like a big corpus of ground truth that has been written by humans, and then when you're running the evaluation, then evaluate it based on those ground truths and not just like by themselves.
Okay, so from both of you I'm learning that we use humans for ground truth, and we'll come back to that. Remind me if I don't. Actually, that's the whole point of talk, so I will come. Anybody else? Any other kind of evaluation that you use apart from just using LLMs? No?
So one thing that we can put particularly, so I was doing a lab of GCP, basically it was about DevFlow fix. So it was continuously maintaining from CI/CD to deployment to monitoring and all. So what we did in that particular lab, we put humans in the loop. So what we tried to figure out that if some problem is coming, LLM is doing the evaluation, but if while we're putting a human in between, some problem that cannot be confirmed by the LLMs or that require human interpretation, that will be done and confirmed by humans by putting in between.
We don't use any deterministic evals like a code-based evals or like using code, Python code or anything.
Yeah, so that is Python code, right? So I have a human annotated data set that like if I was going to scale it down, scale it up based on this input, this is what I would have done, or this is what the actual answer is, and then I run an automated test on the LLM against that, and then again, it's scripted. I don't do it manually like this LLM. I'm running it manually.
But some events can very well be code-based events. Like for example, it's just like for example, you produce summary and you always want 3 bullet points or whatever. At most 3 bullet points.
Right.
You can write a code to figure out.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I'm noticing also is that how people understand this is changing. It's not just right and wrong. Now there's like a spectrum. Is it 70% right? Is it 80% correct? So like when testers used to test the results before, they'd be like, if it's not 100% correct, then it's wrong.
Yeah.
But
it's moved from binary to like a scale.
Exactly. So like to like create the framework where even if it's 70 or 80%.
And how do you create the definition of that?
That is something that the framework, obviously everybody based on their requirements
Sure.
builds it. That works for them in house. But yeah, I think that's another thing that companies are also grappling with. That it's not just binaries as you mentioned.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a good discussion. Anybody else wants to add something to what we have just discussed?
And I think there are problems for which people don't even have metric there.
Yeah.
So every company is running after how humanly is my voice system. But when I look at all these companies, I haven't found a single metric other than saying that we can have 100% humanly evaluation of how humanly a voice is. I have not seen any numerical number come out of like what is level 11 lab or what all of these companies are doing. They're trying to produce state-of-the-art models, but how good is that? So it goes back to the original philosophy, right? If you can't measure, you cannot improve. It is the same thing, right?
I'm not sure if this applies here, I'm not really sure about that, but we are facing this problem where we obviously have processed users' data, but we do it, right now we have manual QC for it. And so we are trying to build something language-based, vision language-based model to QC these automatically so that the workload reduces. So in that sense, like if anyone can give an insight on
like what's the task?
Well, the task is that like let's say in our images we do masking and we place it on a table. Now, right now, humans inspect it visually if it's correct or not. But we are trying to build a visual language-based model, a bit more generic model, which can tell that okay, we give it a prompt, is it correct? We have a set of prompts, we have to tell it if it's actually what we want it to be like. Like basically removing human in the loop because it takes a lot of time to deliver the outputs. In that case, do you think I'm not sure in that sense.
I think it's
because
not about
LLM
removing human in the loop completely. You cannot probably, because
Yeah.
I think if somebody put in human loop, then the problem is complex, right? But also you can think about reducing, like what are the evals, automatic evals that you could put, which is like a automatic validator on the like bounding boxes or the kind of
some are
object which
like
is in
very like hard coded or specifically trained for picking these things, but you are trying to build something much more generic, even not just like the masking and all that problems, but general quality like reflections or exposure. If we have to somehow detect it, but without having trained a particular model for that, more like a general open model.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I wanted to get an insight that is something like that we're exploring in industrial language would be applicable later on for these kind of systems.
So general ideas or whatever would be applicable for wide variety of applications, even for computer vision to some extent, but in this case it's mostly text. Amit.
Yeah, so I will start with cryptography. So in cryptography also, we evaluate some functions over the encrypted data, but because this data is actually stored at the untrusted server. Now the question is whether when we ask give prompt to server to compute over this encrypted data some function, evaluating some function actually, then it comes to whether the server is correctly computing or not. So basically, how will you verify the computation is correct or not?
Yeah.
So that is we call basically in cryptography domain verifiable computation. And I have seen some work on this line, GK LLM, basically zero knowledge LLMs. Right, so maybe this problem is like evaluation, how will you verify? Even you trust a black box, but it will generate proof. So you are okay with that.
So I think I understand, like definitely that. So some ideas can come from there. But I think think very like a first principle level, right? So when you go on a ChatGPT today and you throw in some file to do some analysis, right? What if the guy makes an error in reading the file itself, like misses 2 rows? Yeah. So I really feel, and I think this will continue.
We don't need it in the background.
I should have just carried a different laptop. Sorry.
By the way, this is being recorded, so.
Oh really? Okay, that's fine. We will not post it. We will cut it.
That might not happen, and this might go as it is on YouTube. So please put in a filter at your.
You said we are calling Chatham House also. At least I am being recorded.
Only for the top part. So that the knowledge can go far and wide.
Yeah. But I mean, look, think of this, right? Why can't a ChatGPT interface can have let's evaluate step by step. Like, for example, can it break down the steps that it is taking to analyze, for example, with me? When it breaking down, can it also write verifiers, right? For a given tab. Like, let me verify this file through pandas or different libraries, whether the same lines are being read or not.
Same problem comes, right? We're evaluating 2 different things. One is a quantitative thing which we can measure, and then one is a qualitative thing like Anuj mentioned about, or you mentioned about bullet points, or is the content of the summary right or not?
And the real answer lies in and. It's not either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I think the crux is medical sciences, right? If you go to a doctor, they will first ask you to do certain tests, and then depending on the report, certain specific tests and specific tests and specific tests, until you can figure out the problem. Right? So what he is saying is we need to have a very detailed set of analysis or metrics that can tell you, and generally people like us, right, when we are leading teams, we are often not the ones who go and implement. But what we typically ask our teams is to bring those numbers. Because with experience we try and look at those numbers and see, okay, where the issue might lie and where should we dig deeper.
So I think one thing that this is for your use case, try doing error analysis. Trying and doing manually looking at the data to see which is automatable, right, and which is not automatable, which is very nuanced, right. So I think one of the things that at least I find my team pretty much guilty of, and I'm biased, right, because I think is that not looking at the data that much often, right. Here everything is changing. Definition of what good looks like is changing pretty much model to model. So you cannot leave the data to. And it is not I look at the data, but it's like living through the data. Right?
Understand the data.
So anyway, so this is
eval gen. So the idea, the Shreya and basically her co-authors who are actually trying to do it is that look, it's a lot of work. Like I'm building a conversational application, and some human is talking to it. It's producing traces after traces, and I have to verify whether it's all well or not, right? And if as a human or a developer or a AI engineer, you have to write evals for all of this, right? It's a lot, right? For example, take a very simple case that they have took it here, like a tweet. Given a tweet, can you extract named entity from that tweet, right? That was one task. There was another task where given a medical transcript of two people talking, you want to extract symptoms, sort of disease that was being talked about, the medicine that was prescribed, based on and then LLM was given this task. Now you will always have some, let's say 3 bullet points in that and 3 bullet points on that. How do you verify automatically or semi-automatically that, or what evals do you need to put in to make sure that you have some sense of progress, right? Otherwise you don't have any sense of progress, right? So that is there. So the idea was that, okay, if somehow, like the way you were saying, right, that if I get it rated from humans and I have those human ratings, and then I have output, then you can basically contrast and say, hey, LLM is making a lot of error in producing bullet points. Can I put an eval for that, right? Hey, LLM is making a lot of error. It always ignores my instruction of not putting any hashtag into the output. Let me put an eval. That could be like evaluating whether a hashtag exists or not. It's a deterministic eval, code-based eval, right? But if you have to evaluate conciseness, right, or how good a summary this is, that's very subjective. So humans are best posed, and maybe that data you need to be needed to write LLM as a judge or whatever, right? And you have to figure that out. So this is where it comes into the picture. So what they have built in a nice, nifty, cute platform. It's still academic work. So, but good thing is that from last 1 year or so, this paper has like 250 citations like in a year, which is pretty good. And this pipeline is adopted by most of these LLM evaluation platforms. Like they started doing some sense of this work. So what happens here is you have inputs, outputs, right? And from there, they let you they extract some criteria either from your prompt, that because you have written some instructions, so you want LLM to follow, but it will not always follow. Assume that, right? Plus, you can also put your own criteria by saying thumbs up, thumbs down. Saying you look at some summary, 10 summary, and say thumbs down. It doesn't look good. You don't specify like what is the issue here, but you say thumbs down, and then they take the generated thing and the thumbs down knowledge and the criteria that is specified, go to LLM and say, hey, can you write an eval for this? Then LLM, because it's a case-to-case basis, will probably look at it. Okay, you were asked not to put a hashtag, it put a hashtag, so write a code-based evals for hashtag. For summary, write a LLM as a judge eval with these considerations, right? So that is where you automatically generate evals and a lot of assertions, basically that in a typical test code you write assertions, right? Like does this exist, does this exist, does this make? So it basically does a pretty initial job of writing those assertions, and then you can select, modify those assertions, right? Those assertions could be code-based evals or could be a LLM-based evals, and then you basically see those things, how it plays out on a piece of like a matrix or wherever, right? So that's the basic crux of it. How does evalgen help? Is that it's not a cold starter for AI engineer to write evals, right, and think about it. It can give you a starting point to think about it, right, and generate those evals for you. And of course, you have a chance to select or deselect something.
So my question here is, aren't we just propagating the problem, right? Instead of having a first level LLM as a judge problem, now we're just having like maybe multiple LLM as a judge mini problems where we're asking it to subjectively grade.
So I think that is pretty clear. Like if you have, think of this pipeline,
but
right?
I think the rate of error would probably decrease.
Exactly. So another thing, look, I think all of us would agree that if you have the same thing and you have single LLM as for your output, your problem is too simple, or that LLM is written wrong. Right? So I think you always need to break down the problem. So this does that initial breaking down the problem, saying that look, your output applies 5 constraints, right? These 3 constraints can be evaluated through code-based evals, and these 2 can be LLM as a judge. Right? Whether this guy has written the right prompt to do LLM as judge? No, probably not. You have to go and modify that. So it is very similar to life, right? I mean, in case you are confused in life, you will try and find a mentor who can answer questions. But it is not that the mentor is sorted 100%, right? He has his own share of problems and has a mentor who in turn has a mentor.
Yes.
But yeah, you can reduce the error.
Yeah, you basically reduce the chances of a single LLM, you break it down to multiple LLMs.
I don't have much of an LLM background, so it might be a
Sure.
nice question, but like in these generic generators like Claude and GPT, they are geared towards general purpose tasks or many kinds of tasks. How do you evaluate in a way that you can test the generalizability? How do they, there's like no limitation on what kind of task you can ask to.
Yeah, but I think here we are not testing the LLM as a generic thing that somebody biomedical can come and ask questions or somebody. No, we are not testing that. We are still testing into the realm of a particular application. Okay. And the application is very simple as that. Okay, given a medical transcript, can you generate a survey?
In that case, I understand how they might do it, but how do these companies, which only purpose is to create a chatbot which is very good at everything, answering everything, how do they evaluate?
They also have these kind of events, but at a much larger level.
Okay.
So the company that you're mentioning, Micro One, they have built a tens of billions of dollars of business just creating events for these guys.
Okay.
That's their business.
But do you have a set of defined criteria? Okay, these are my 10 criteria, it should pass on that. Or
So both. So there are people who are like till some time back. How do you know how did these guys started cracking lead code? These guys started cracking lead code because they hired army of software engineers and asked them to write the code and put it into RLM pipeline, and the LLM started writing good code. Right? That's how they do it for everything and everything.
Okay.
So they hire these people, right, who can generate a lot of data and verify the data for them.
Okay. So like I have used GPT a lot for Blender based stuff, like Blender scripting, because I'm not that interested in it. I want to learn from scratch. So like it produced pretty good code, pretty functional code. So like when they were developing this model, were there people who were verifying if this Blender code is correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Specifically
So
for
they
Blender also.
no, yeah. So I think that depends on use case. OpenAI is at that level and Gemini is at that level that they can see the number of use cases, map it, and say, hey, is 10,000 people are using Blender code and generating Blender code every month? Is that a problem that we need to worry about? Yeah. If your thing gets prioritized, why not?
I think OpenRouter recently published some blog related to that. Again, we're getting a little off topic, so but yeah, so they mentioned like this state of AI. So OpenRouter, people just plug in their API keys and they have a single API to access all of the different models, right? So they have like trillions and trillions of tokens of data to check upon, and yeah, they did very similar thing. Like they categorized all of these via LLMs, and yeah, they are just publishing more research that people can build specialized models for, right? Or maybe build specialized evals for like blender testing or whatever. So yeah.
So like I think at this point of time there are two kind of like at least what I try and follow a little bit of this data pipelines part of it, RLHF pipeline. So there are basically 2-3 companies like this Micro One, and then a couple of more, but these two are pretty big, right? And Scale used to be one, but they got bought by and killed by Meta. So all these guys are just building very specialized tool for data collection and analytics.
So
they effectively data labeling.
Micro One is trying to get the market that Scale left, which is data annotation. I don't know how many of them, but they are having like crazy in India right now. But if you look at the kind of tasks they are doing now, they are much higher in terms of the kind of intelligence that is needed. So now they are hiring people for the following. Give us examples of tasks that take you in your office while working with, say, PPT or a Word doc or Excel, and 3 to 4 hours of your time. So you upload the data, you upload everything, you upload the task, you upload the output, and they have a parallel unit which is trying to automate or trying to get to the level where some of this can be baked into the foundational models.
So I think just little nuance to what Arun said, right? So the task, think of this, right? When you used to use ChatGPT earlier, like initial phases, it used to be single short question answering, almost like you're talking to a chatbot. Like one shot, give me the code, right? But over time, those guys pushed, or the personality got changed to be more multi-turn, right? Same for the task, right? Like how did Gemini got so much better in producing like infographic, right? The thing which requires multi-step orchestration, right? To multi-step changes
getting feedback, iterating on that, right? Those and Merkur and Micron both are putting enough like pipeline to do that sort of work, tracking everything and everything. Like if you're doing out of Photoshop editing on some image, like creating an infographic for your marketing team, that's a multi-step procedure, right? Like you do something and you change something and they track everything under the hood. Same for coding, like the coding agent, like earlier coding cursor was like, oh, you give something, will generate a code, then you can edit it, right? But now the agentic one is actually looking at your actions, right? And that's the first thing that cursor did. They built small language models to keep monitoring your actions. Like, oh, you made 8 changes in this code, which are the next files that you are most likely to edit, right? Basically, they have adopted what Chinese companies are known for. And I have worked for one of them, so I am looking for. They track every single moment. That's the data collection strategy. And whether they go and sell this AI and all that AGI in the market, it still remains the companies that have the data are the ones that are dominating, which is why Microsoft acquired GitHub for only code. Others don't have access to that code, but they have access to the coders. So that is what Micro and Scale are doing right now.
Anand, you had something?
The whole theme of people people sharing their work or output to build a model, increasingly very small scale, is moving outside of knowledge work. We were having a chat with BPI, for instance. What if pottery would contribute to the world's knowledge, to a world model of how exactly to have the physical skills to build a really good pot, and therefore what informal skills can therefore get into the sector. Put another way, the notion of digression, but human implicit knowledge is what contributes to balance, and there has been a spurt of people who are experts in whatever knowledge areas whose knowledge is being captured by these models. That is going well beyond what we traditionally. Pottery may be far out there, but something